Hello, my name is David Webb, and this is a video for Dweebovision. I am a Scrabble grandmaster, and in this video I am going to play Scrabble while providing in-game commentary on my moves. Hopefully this will help to improve your game, and be fun to watch. The game has just started, so let's join the action. It's my opponent to go first. I have the J. For score I have Jeffé on my rack, which would also get rid of the F, the J and the F being the two most non-bingo-y tiles, so it would be good to get rid of both of them in one go. And I think Jeffé's going to be the only way of achieving that. It will burn both E's. Now, the alternative to Jeffé is Jeffé's, and I am going to play that because it's going to add a lot to the score. So change by my opponent, and 46 points for me. Not too good, far too many vowels, triplicate A's, no scoring tiles, but all these tiles are bingo-y. So I'll probably look to play through this, and I'm looking to play off at least 2 A's. Well, my opponent's blocked Ganja, which would in any event not have been doubled. My opponent burns an S. So what can I do? I could play Avenge, but that doesn't score very much and it keeps 2 A's, so I think changing would be better than that. Naga plays off 2 A's, but it also plays off both of my consonants, leaving me with 3 vowels, so that's a weak move, or it feels like a weak move. I could play Fanga in column 6. Only 11 points, keeping 3 vowels, that's pretty borderline. Now what about playing through that V of Java's? Well, I could play Agave. 13 points. Rack leave of A-E-N is pretty good. So let me see what this looks like. Slightly open, in that it's opening up column 1. But the rack leave is good and goes well with the S, so this might prove a distraction, leaving this S available. But is there something much better that I've overlooked? Well, I'm struggling to see it. Through an A, I would have analysed. So at the moment, I've got a double-double in column 1 for about 3 million points, but I'm expecting that to be taken. Analysed nearly plays in row I, beginning with the first A of Java's, but it does play in column K through the second A of Java's, which is fantastic because that's going to be a double-double. So I've either got a double-double or a triple-triple. And if my opponent blocks both of those, I shall be irked. But I am expecting him to play in column 1. I think analysed in row K will score about 130, which is pretty good. Yeah, only 18 points. Fantastic. $138. And this is horrendous. 2 U's and a W, one of the worst triplicates that it's possible to have. I am inclined to change, but will consider what's available. I would certainly be looking to play off 2 of the troublesome trio, so a play of Q2 would achieve that, keeping IOW. So if I could get about 20 points for Q2, that's probably better than changing. I do have the out prefix, Now, has my opponent provided anywhere good for kutus? I don't think so. I could play kutus in column 8. 14 points, probably better than changing. Now I'm just looking at the A of Java's. My K could go on the double letter square to the left of that, but I can't see anything. Can't see a way of playing off a U or a W. Morg takes an S after it. It's possible it takes a G, but I don't think it does. So, am I missing something? I've got the out prefix. I don't think out wig is good, but it might be. 16 minutes on my clock. There's the Y I've analysed, which I could use coming down to the triple word square if I had a five-letter play. Can't see one. I've got an O for going underneath the Z. It's not a priority playing off the K. That's just a scoring tile. So I could play OW. 26 points. Keeping 2 U's. Don't like that. Now, what about talc? Played across here, underneath analysed. Well, that doesn't work. Odo's not good. I'm struggling with this rack, and I'm inclined to change. Or do I play kutus in column 8? I'm going to change. Well, there are 5 T's left. I think that was the only one worth considering keeping. Not very good, but not surprising, since I drew 7 random tiles. I've got Hoove on my rack. Good bingo by my opponent. He's only 40 points behind, despite my massive bingo play of analysed. So, I've got Pooves in column 8, row M, for not many points. Also column 2. I've got the U of cursors, but I can't see a way of putting my P or my V on that. Sorry, in front of that. Oh, well, what about Poov here? At least the P gets doubled. $23. Great, I have Editrix. Can't see anywhere to play that at the moment. $36 points for my opponent, and there goes the first blank. Now, is there really nowhere for Editrix? Would be annoying to miss playing it if it was possible, but I don't think it is. Okay, is there an 8 through the S? Distrix is good, but that's not a bingo. Okay, well, I can't see a bingo with this rack. So where can I play my X? Can't see a way of playing it through the Y. And this is quite a bingo-y rack. If I played off XI, then the remaining tiles are quite bingo-y, so there's certainly no desire on my part to hang on to this X. But I'm struggling to see anywhere to even play XI. I could play it in column 2, making buy, but then I'm blocking a bingo lane. Districts wrecks the rack leave. I could play Xi underneath the A and L of analysed. That might be worth doing. It's not going to score very much, but I think the rack leave is going to be pretty good. Certainly goes well with the S of fubs. 20 points, that's not too bad. I hope I haven't missed anywhere super hot for my X. Okay, so what do I have? I have tardiest through the S of fubs. Now, does that also go through the S of cursors? Yes, it does, because lit is good. Great, both of those stay available. My opponent changes. Now, striated is good, and that's much better because it gets tripled. $77 points, not very much. Bit of a horror show. No vowels at all. Now I'm looking at that first A in Javas to see if I can play in that spot, but I would only be playing off 2 tiles, and when you have 7 consonants, I think it's a priority to play off 3 of them. Otherwise, it's just too high a risk of replenishing your rack only with consonants. So, where are the floating vowels which would allow me to play off 3 consonants? Struggling to see them. Okay, well, my opponent's just provided one. Great bingo by him, Payoki. And he burns the second blank, so no more blanks to come, and all the S's have also gone. What I'm looking at is the I of Payoki. Can I get a high-scoring tile on it? And I can, and I can sort out my duplicate, so this is perfect. I don't think there's a way of playing off a 4th consonant, not with the vowels in Payoki being in second place. But this is pretty good, 24 points, and it stops my opponent scoring well in column 1. And my opponent is still only about 30 points behind, so this is a close game. That's much better. Through an S I would have Drishin or Reshined. Do I have a 7 with this rack? And I've also got the D of striated to consider. Hindered. I have hindered. Fantastic. Row O. I hope that stays available. I haven't seen any alternative bingos. It stays available. Superb. A very common word, but I don't think it's the sort of word which you can struggle to see. I didn't see it immediately. Hindered, 92. Wow, that's more than I was expecting. And I draw the Q with the U. Fantastic. Both of those tiles by themselves are not welcome, but together they are. What I don't have is any vowels to go with my QU pairing, but that's okay. If I can't play QU this go, I'm quite happy to keep QU. 17 tiles in the bag. 13 vowels, so 13 vowels out of 24. Only 9 consonants to come. Or something about that, maybe 11. Right. There go 3 of the vowels. So what can I do with QU? I've got a 100-point lead now, which is good. Is there anywhere that I can play it? So I really need to only consider the vowels on the board. The E of poo, not in a good spot. I could play it A9 down, I could play quart or quant. That's quite attractive. The cue's not particularly dangerous. This is stopping my opponent playing down here in column 8. And although I'm keeping 3 consonants, it's a vowel-heavy bag. Just pausing briefly in case there is a vowel that I've overlooked. I don't want to play through the I of Agila because my opponent could then place the I next to the Q and score 30 very easy points. No, I think this is good. Keeping 3 consonants is fine. I suppose the alternative would be to consider keeping the Q and the U, given the vowels to come, and playing off 3 or 4 of my remaining consonants. But then I would have to be playing through a vowel on the board. And I'd want to be playing off at least 3, I think. Yeah, can't see a good way of doing that, so I'll stick with this. Great. Through an H I'd have Rio Phil. Do I have anything through the T of quant? This looks quite a bingo-y set of tiles. Row N is a good bingo lane for 7-letter bingos. Just touching on 1 or more of the opening letters in hindered, but I don't think I have a 7. Not too many bingo lanes to consider. There's just row N and then the floaters in quant. But I can't see anything with my rack through the U, the N, or the T. But they could be. This is quite bingo-y. 25 for my opponent. 6 tiles in the bag. I can see the remaining 13 tiles at the bottom. Not terribly bingo-y, but not terribly un-bingo-y either. So a word like untitle or entitle could easily be played in row N. But I'm 110 points ahead, so I can survive a bingo. So 7 minutes left. Do I have a 7 with this rack? Don't think I do. So what about playing off a small number of tiles? I'm looking at the P or the H for score. Two E's left, so I'd quite like to keep hold of my E. I'm looking in row I, both in front of the A of Java's and placing my H underneath PE. I could also, well, I could play in row M. I could play Phi. I could score more by playing POH, but there are 3 I's in the bag, so I'd quite like to play off this I. And this stops my opponent getting an easy bingo. 6 minutes left. This doesn't feel great, but there are no R's to come, only 1 L, no O's, so this is quite a good rack leave. Only 20 points. I suspect there's a better play. So do I really want to do this? Not sure I do. It just feels like a play rather than a considered and good play. So I'm looking around for good spots for my H or my P. And I'm considering row L across here. I could place my H here, so I could play H-E-I-R. Let me consider the vowel situation. 6 vowels out of 13 tiles. Okay, so it's no longer a vowel heavy. I am actually going back to what I was thinking about doing here, or maybe I should play HEP. 29 points. Well, quite tempting, especially as I've got the L for making Axel. Yeah, I think I like the extra points. Great, I dodge all the remaining I's. I've got outlier on my rack. I've got the U for going with the Q. So I do have plays through the Q, but I can't see a bingo. Okay, nice play by my opponent. He's taken my L hook for Axel, but leaving the Q available. Nothing in the bag now. I can see what my opponent's got. I've got 4 minutes on my clock. So, do I have a bingo through the floaters in quant? Can't see anything through the Q. What about the N? It will be very high probability. Outliner, but that doesn't play, and I don't think outliner's got any anagrams. What about the T? No. The earpoov is not a floater. No other bingo lanes to consider, so I think it's just a case of playing through this Q. And I think liquor is best. Or close to best. 48 points. Now, is my opponent about to go out? I think I will look for what's available in case he can't. So I've got TE above IN of Intel, 10 points. Ute in row B, 11 points. Row L underneath the end of analysed, I've got T, met and ode, 11 points. Et in row O, making T and hit, 12 points. Okay, all in vain because my opponent has gone out. So, pass to end the game. And the final score, 399 to my opponent, 524 to me, a winning margin of 125 points. So, a high-scoring game. Let's see what I missed. Here was my opponent to go first. He had 4 R's and changed. This was my opening rack. I played Jeff A's for 46, and that looks best. Was there a second position which scored as much? Oh, well, only playing vertically. Now, this is my opponent's rack. Through a V, he would have had Vavasaurs. Did he have a bingo? No. He played Javas, and I didn't like this move. I played a Gave at J1. It's top of the shop here. And looking at the options, I think it's fine. Not a nice rack for my opponent. Played Boar, leaving available Analysed, the only bingo, for 138. I wonder what that would have scored in column 1 had boar not been played, because the Y would have been doubled. Then everything would have been multiplied by 9. Quite a lot. So this is my opponent's rack, Mog for 25, and this is probably my worst rack in the game. And what did I do? I changed, and I could have got 30 points keeping ITW. Well, it's possible, or even probable, that Wok and G7 across here would perform better in simulation than changing, but you then have to play the next rack with 2 U's on your rack, and the simulator always finds the optimal move, and I don't feel confident about finding the optimal move from a rack which is so unbingo-y as one containing 2 U's, so I do like my play of changing. This is what I got. Not good, but I felt much happier playing through this because I think Poof was my play. Yeah, for 23 points, rack leave of EI is fine. And getting an extra 8 points for Pave, but with 2 extra vowels, is not worth. It's not worth having the worst rack leave just for 8 extra points. So this is my opponent's rack, no vowels, but he does have the blank. He played Fubs for 36, and this is where I had Editrix, couldn't see where to play it, and it doesn't play. Dixie was playable at D2 down here, tripling the X. I didn't see that. Instead, I played XI for 20, which looks inferior to all these moves, but actually my rack leave of DEIRT is better than any of these, and the quality of the rack leave is improved by the existence of these 2 S's, because there you have a 6-letter set, which is very bingo-y, so XI is certainly on a par with most of these moves. Horrible rack for my opponent. Changes, and this is my rack. I played Striated, Straighted also good, and Tardiest. Surprised there's nothing else, but there isn't. And my opponent, having changed, picks up this Dream rack and does very well to spot Payoki, the only bingo, 90 points. And then I had all consonants. I was contemplating changing, but played Wind for 24. And you can see down here all of the moves are playing through these vowels in Payok. So had my opponent not played that or vowels elsewhere, I think a change would have been best. My opponent's rack. And here I had Hindered. And for 92, which was best, but Ephedrine at B1. Wow, through the P was also playable. I didn't spot that. My opponent's rack. Does he have a bingo? No. And now this was tricky because Q and U are good, and there are vowels to come. And the only way of playing the Q didn't score very much, so it was difficult to know what to do. Whoops, let me see what the suggestions are. Well, anything at A7, Quilt and Quint, not good because you're putting a Q next to the triple word square with eyes, 4 eyes unplayed. So actually Quant, it looks fine. Yeah, and there my opponent does have some of the eyes. He played O, and this was my rack. Did I miss a bingo at the death? No, I didn't. I7, Hep across here. 30 points. Instead, I did Hep down here. Well, yeah, having talked myself into playing off the E. I initially thought about playing here, didn't want to play the E, then did decide to play it down here, but one of the reasons for playing down here was to obstruct this bingo lane, so actually I think my play here was fine. Horrible rack for my opponent. He played until for 32, and this is a very bingo-y rack. Did I miss a bingo? Nope, but I could have got more than liquor. I could have played Quilter and Quoiter, or Quilter, Quoiter or Quilter for 51. And that may have stopped my opponent from going out, I'm not sure. Let's see if if he had other out options. D7. Tin men through this end, so yeah, even if I'd played Quilter, my opponent would have had an out. Quite a number of them. So, my opponent did go out, I didn't have any more goes, and that was the end of the game. So, pretty exciting game. Not often you get a score of over 130 for a single move, so particularly good to find analysed. And overall, it was a good game with a good start with Jeff A's and 3 bingos and some interesting racks to consider. So I hope you enjoyed watching that and got something out of it. My name's David Webb, and this has been a video for Dweebovision.